You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carl Stebbings and Matt Smith.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 130 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and joining me in the lounge studio this week is Matt Smith.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the slightly unnerving experience that is episode 130. We're having a few technical problems in the studio here. Those of you who are watching and listening online live will be aware of them. So we're just sort of we think we've got our finger on it, and hopefully it'll be okay. But we do have, I'm delighted to say, a massive friend of the show, the legend that is Nevil Bounds. Hello, Nevil. How are you?
Yeah, hi Matt, how are you doing? Why is there always a big technical moment when I'm on?
Yeah,
I'm sure there's no connection whatsoever.
There are gremlins. Every time you're on the show, there appear to be gremlins that appear somewhere in the system. It's because every time you're on the show, I'm made to feel very inferior. And I think that's what's happening. But anyway, what have you got in your hand there? Oh dear. Apologies. If you are listening to the audio podcast in front of the camera, there is a pint of Adnams. Essentially, this is the chosen beverage of the Carlos variety.
Which is being consumed, I have to say, from this rather amazing glass.
Right. Okay,
there.
Good. Yes, yeah. It's an Acme glass, by the way.
Acme glass there.
And as I'm the one driving, I'm the only one without it. Well, I've got a cheeky little cider in my hand, but Nev has in front of him.
Look at Nev. Nev just has to go that one step further.
Yeah, this is the Marks and Spencer Merlot, a cheeky little number at $6.99. Other brands are available, of course.
Yeah, but none of them are any good.
No, that's true.
So what are you drinking this evening,
Well,
Matt?
I've got a very sort of light beverage. This is because it's the nice thing about doing an evening show, isn't it? One feels obliged to consume
like
a
quite a posh cider.
It is. It's a kiwi and lime, and it's an old malt cider, whatever one of those is. But anyway, it's very nice. I'm afraid I've consumed my only can because we're so late starting. But anyway, yes. Housekeeping rules. It is now sadly approaching 10 to 8. It is Friday evening, the 16th of September 2016, and this is episode number 130.
So a big thank you and to everyone in the chat room who have stuck with us since we started broadcasting at 7 o'clock. Hello to you all in there. Lots of names in there. Liz, Jonathan Warner, Philip Davis, York Mola, Liz.
I'm so sorry.
Barbara's in there. Jennifer, Tony S, Philip Davis, Paul Tricker, York Mola, Benjamin Todd. I'm just scrolling down here. We've got Nevil Bounds in the chat room. Well done, Nevil, for joining us in there. Yes. Jennifer Parkinson's in the chat room. It's pouring with rain in Rome. We've had lots of rain here.
We've had a lot of rain here.
Mash is in the chat room as well. David Corsten's in the chat room as well. My word.
Anybody who follows me
Philip
on Facebook
Davis
will have seen a little video that I posted today that basically made me resemble a very drowned rat because I was in Chrome.
Did you post
today.
it on our Facebook page?
I didn't post it on our Facebook page.
Okay.
No, you can post it on our Facebook page if you wish. It wouldn't let me do it for some reason. But anyway, that's by the by. Yes. So again, apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you who are watching live, we have had some technical issues.
But to be fair, most of the people in the chat room are APGers as well, and they'll be used to a slightly delayed start.
No, it's
Captain Jeff, if you're listening, much love.
Stop it, bad man. Anyway, yes, enough of this. I think we need to crack on, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We've got
just FYI, there's a lot of Microsoft Windows 10 updates going through the system at the moment, and that's what's sort of knocked our system out for a few minutes. Okay. I can see Nev on my screen busy shaking his head in horror. Yes, I know, but I can't afford a Mac.
Return of the
I
Mac.
dread to think how much a Mac to do the things that we do with this tower would actually cost. Oh, you're pointing at me now. What do you
Micah in the chat room has just said that the last APG show was delayed by over an hour.
Okay, so that's made me feel slightly better.
Okay.
But I can live with 10 minutes, but this is too much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sorry.
Well, we have got the usual news this week. We've got some nice military news stories as well. We've also got another one of the great interviews that we took from the Seething Air Show to play back to you as well on this show. Yep. And and thanks again to Nev for joining us as a co-host, as a very well established, esteemed co-host for the show.
Well, thanks, guys. Very much appreciated.
I'm very much looking forward to my birthday, by the way. I can't.
I know. I know.
Anyway, shall we do some news?
Yes, so we're going to kick off the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt.
Yes, I am.
And if you're ready, Nev.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go.
I didn't think it was going to start then.
Oh, it did. Praise the Lord.
Do you know, I think I should take the tower home when I go home.
The tower's going to go home with Matt tonight.
I'm going to take a sledgehammer to it.
Kicking off this week's first news story, and this is on the ndtv.com website. And the headline is, "No selfies in aircraft, please. Aviation regulator tells flight crew."
Ooh, really?
Oh, yeah. So if I get through the story here, it's an ad blocker on. That's why it's blocked the story. There we go.
It's all gone horribly wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no!
It's because there's an ad blocker. Now this is a part of technology that we've got installed on the laptop here.
Okay,
but
good. Nev, by any chance, do you have a clear version of the story in front of you?
Let's just have a look, shall we? And I'll do the first one.
Yeah, so we'll break with tradition, and
whether it works. Oh yeah, it works a treat. Actually,
good. Okay. All right. Well, Nev, if you wouldn't mind taking the first story, then.
Yeah, that's no problem at all, guys. This is on the ndtv.com website, and it says that aviation regulator DGCA has prohibited flight crew from taking selfies in aircraft, besides asking the airlines to ensure that passengers do not indulge into photography whilst boarding or deboarding a plane. Though earlier rules also put some restrictions on in-flight photography, the fresh guidelines come in the wake of certain cases coming to the light about possible security risks from clicking cockpit selfies. To ensure safety of aircraft operations, all the air operators are required to ensure the provision of AIC 3 of 1997 and Operation Circular 4 of 2011, a very popular one, I think that is, on the subject are scrupulously followed. Crew do not indulge in photography during any phase of flight. Passengers do not indulge into photography whilst embarking or disembarking the aircraft. It's quite interesting, isn't it, how suddenly this has become a big thing. And it says that many instances have come to notice wherein cockpit crew has indulged in photography in the cockpit. In few instances, both pilots were away from the aircraft controls when the photographs were taken. So under the aircraft rules of 1937, which is just before 20 to 8, photography from an aircraft in flight is prohibited unless there is prior permission from the authorities concerned.
Really? Now well, yes. I mean, that's. I suppose. So actually, it's quite an old rule, if you like, isn't it? So it's not like
selfie rule from 1937. I don't think they had iPhones then.
No, I don't think they did. No.
But I know a lot of the I mean, obviously the airlines. I don't think they allow the. I know they don't allow the flight crew to kind of film themselves. I think when they're flying. Right. I think that's a bit of a no-no.
I mean, it's a shame though, because I mean, I've seen some fantastic videos that some of our listeners have sent us when they've been in the cockpit, sort of filming while they're flying and that. So it's, you're gonna have to stop doing it, Carlos. It's no good.
I know. Oh dear.
Yeah.
But do you remember we had Sam Chui on the show a few weeks back. And if on his videos, some of his videos on YouTube, there's some really good ones which he got from on the flight deck of
in the cockpit,
Air France, I think it was 777. And I think I did ask him whether it was online or offline.
Liz says in 1937 they were doing paintings. Yes. Rather than they were sort of selfie paintings, absolutely.
But I remember Sam saying that he had to get special permission from the airline and lots of security clearance and stuff like that to be able to allow him onto the flight deck to film and stuff. So But no selfies for. It's okay to take. I've took plenty of selfies on the aircraft myself.
Yeah. You're not going to in future, are you?
No, I am. It's just a crew. It's a crew thing.
Crew thing or a pilot thing?
Pilot thing, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So moving on to our next story. This is especially for Matt.
Yes, that's probably because it's a Ryanair story. I know we've got two Ryanair stories this week. One which I'm very upset about, which will become much more apparent towards the end of the show, but this is on the Chronicle Live website, chroniclelive.co.uk, and the headline is "Sangria at the ready" as Ryanair announces new flights from Newcastle Airport. Well, this is very exciting. The budget airline has brought forward plans to fly to the Spanish capital of Madrid, and seats are going cheap. Fancy a trip to Madrid for just £25? Well, now you can. Ryanair has brought forward a direct flight from Newcastle Airport to the Spanish capital, the birthplace of Newcastle United manager Rafa Benitez. Right. The flights will launch in March. Perfect if you or Rafa fancy a bit of winter sun. But that's not the only new destination in the budget airlines portfolio. Holidaymakers will also be able to take advantage of new routes to Faro in Portugal, Girona and Palma in Spain. And Ryanair has pledged to pass on the cheaper cost of fuel to families who are getting away this year. Robin Keeley, the airline's head of communication, said, "We are pleased to further extend our Newcastle summer 2017 schedule with a new route to Madrid, in addition to our 3 new routes from Faro, Girona and Palma. The continuation of our new services to Gdansk, Lanzarote, Tenerife, Warsaw and some name I can't pronounce, into summer, and more flights to Alicante, Dublin and Malaga, which will deliver over 750,000 customers per annum and support 560 jobs at Newcastle Airport." Mr. Keeley said, "To celebrate our new Newcastle-Madrid route, we are releasing seats on sale for just $24.99. Wow. So £25 basically for travel in March and April, which are available for booking until Monday. Since these amazing low prices will be snapped up quickly, customers should log into Ryanair.com to avoid missing out. Madrid, the beautiful Spanish capital, is expected to be a popular destination from Newcastle. Newcastle Airport's aviation development manager, Leon McQuaid, said, "With twice-weekly flights conveniently timed, we expect this service to be extremely popular with both business and leisure travellers throughout the region."
Oh, I think that's quite nice. An extra destination to fly from a UK airport anyway with Ryanair. It's always a good thing, especially Madrid, popular destination for holidaymakers, definitely in Europe.
Absolutely. Although, unfortunately, as we'll see later on, and I keep coming back to it, what they give with one hand, they take away with the other. But anyway,
and Mash has put in the chat room, Madrid is a beautiful city.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for a moment. And in fact, at £25, maybe we should be booking them and going. And we can take our satellite.
Yeah.
That'll work anywhere in Europe.
So the next story is on the Telegraph site, telegraph.co.uk. And the headline, £50 flights to the US coming in 2017, says airline boss.
That is cool.
The prospect of flights to the US for as little as £50 is growing ever nearer. Norwegian, the low-cost carrier at the vanguard of the low-cost long-haul revival, has said it will introduce a $69 or £52 transatlantic fare once its latest order of new aircraft arrives. The airline has launched new routes to cities including Los Angeles and New York in recent years with fares as low as £149, but it's now aiming to drop them even further. Thomas Ramdahl, Norwegian's chief commercial officer.
Good.
Jeff,
excellent.
Told Business Insider that the airline was waiting on a shipment of 100 Boeing 737 MAX 8 airliners that will feature new fuel-efficient engines.
Tony has a really good point, actually.
Aerodynamics, which will make flying across the Atlantic more cost-effective. Only then will it be able to introduce the $69 flights. Norwegian currently operates the transatlantic routes with Boeing 787 Dreamliners. He said, "I can promise you that this will see transatlantic flights on the 737 MAX next year," said Ramdahl. and that's when you'll see the $69 fares. The first of the planes could be with Norwegian as early as March 2017, but Ramdal said there would be an announcement in November or December with more details on the cheap fares. Norwegian, along with other airlines offering low-cost long-haul travel such as WOW Air, use its headline-grabbing fares to attract customers, but then the customers and passengers are faced with extra costs for the likes of whole luggage and seat selection. Attempting to book a £179 flight from London Gatwick to Norwegian's newly launched destination of Las Vegas, Telegraph Travel found that services at the base cost were available, but checked baggage, a meal on board and a seat reservation would cost a further £50 each way.
But that's still cheap. There's no two ways about it, is it? That's still really, really cheap.
It is.
And Tony had a really great point, so that's why
What's
I was
that?
trying to interrupt you. It's like, it's $69 plus $150, you know, like taxes and things like that. So
I mean, this all go. I mean, this sort of kind of thing goes back to, and Neville will know exactly who I'm talking about here, to the kind of Freddie Laker days.
Yeah, definitely. And he was one of the first operators, along with Richard Branson, I guess, to offer affordable fares to the US from the UK. And no one really has done that since, I don't think.
No,
and sadly, you know, the company went out of business. But it wasn't for the want of trying. And he did some fantastic deals. And let's face it, it did enable people to fly those sort of distances for, you know, reasonable amounts of money.
Yeah. Do you know, I found in my collection of photos, and you've actually, I think you put them in the montage at my birthday.
Quite possibly.
There's 3 or 4 photos I've actually got, Nev, of me on board the SkyTrain DC-10 many years ago,
nice.
Going on holidays
great.
as a child.
Oh, wow.
And the cabin inside that DC-10 was huge.
Yeah. Although Micah has put forward a very good point, in fact, that we've got no excuse not to come and see him now. And come and eat the best lobster in the world.
Oh, that's true.
That
That's
is true.
very
We've got
true,
no excuse.
Micah.
Got
That's
no
very
excuse for that
true.
much. I think a mass PT UK outing. What do you reckon, Nev?
I'll be up for that, definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
So moving on to the next story.
Yes.
And yeah, this one's going to be Nev's, isn't it, this one?
Well, this is on the Independent website, and just 9 years after Singapore Airlines launched the first passenger service of the world's biggest airliner, the future of the Airbus A380 looks shrouded in uncertainty. The launch airline has decided not to renew the lease on its first Super Jumbo when it expires next year. The plane made its maiden passenger flight from Singapore to Sydney in October 2007. It doesn't seem that long ago, does it? But incredible. Polikarpu, aviation marketing strategist for DVB Bank, said of Singapore Airlines' decision, "I'm not surprised to see them return these first-off-the-line examples of the Super Jumbo. The airline industry has really bought into the new technology delivered by the A350 and the Boeing 787, which have impressive range capabilities and are able to bypass the traditional hubs and operate at lower capacities with improved profit margins. They are real game changers in the commercial airline world," he said. Singapore has 5 more A380s on order, which are due to be delivered from next year. And it's not unusual for the first few production aircraft of a new model to be regarded with some circumspection. Often they are heavier than later aircraft and may suffer teething problems. An expert in aircraft value said they are essentially, in the nicest sense of the word, virtually R&D aircraft, with the manufacturers battling to smooth out the initial kinks of the new kit and improve the later examples coming off the line. And Airbus has expressed confidence in the A380 program, saying traffic growth is leading to larger aircraft, which have grown by over 40% since the 1980s, as airlines select larger aircraft or upsize existing backlogs. Larger aircraft like the A380, combined with higher load factors, make the most efficient use of limited airport slots and contribute to rising passenger numbers, as confirmed by London's Heathrow Airport. And the jet, which carries more than 600 people in some configurations, has proved very popular with passengers. But with only 200 built, the Super Jumbo has failed to meet the manufacturer's sales expectations. And when the entry into service was delayed, a number of airlines, including Virgin Atlantic, cancelled their orders. And another concern is the second-hand value of the A380. And I think it's one of those things, isn't it, gents, that in order for this to be profitable, they've got to operate it at fairly close to maximum capacity, I would imagine. And I think the problem is that with these other new aircraft coming along, like the A350, 787s and this kind of thing, that don't need quite as much space around the airports, and they do have very long range as well. So I think this is just a temporary hiccup, though. I don't see this as being a long-term problem for this aircraft. It's just one of those things. It's a cyclical thing. And the aircraft's nearly 10 years old. Hard to believe that, isn't it?
Yeah,
already, really scary.
I think it's not been as popular as what I think Airbus thought it was going to be. Nev, would you say?
Yeah. I think so, and I think obviously they're trying to reduce the seat ticket price, and yes, of course, if you jam 600 people on an aircraft, the cost per passenger is reasonable. But of course, there are 4 engines on it. It needs a lot of crew on it, and for the very longest sectors, it needs 2 sets of crew as well. So there's a lot to think about. So it's got to be profitable from day one, and I think with some of the financial downturn that's gone on as well, and of course, as the aircraft was introduced actually in 2007, that was the big financial downturn, and of course the timing was rather unfortunate. But I don't think I'm too concerned about the long-term prospects. I don't think.
Yeah, so we're trying to get rid of something stuck on the screen here with a laptop.
Yeah, we're having a great show, everyone. Yes.
No, I think as also the saving grace, I think, for Airbus though, Nev, is the fact that Emirates have they've still got quite an order of A380s yet to come, which we covered in the story not so long back.
I think they're one of the largest operators, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
as well. So
they're I think they're going to start replacing their older 380s next year with brand new ones.
But do we think it is capacity that's the issue? If you like, they're struggling to fill these things, and that's why they're less interested in.
Well, Emirates obviously fill them.
Yeah, but perhaps some of the airlines where they're struggling to literally put bums on seats, because you say, I mean, I don't know what the load factor must be in order for a flight to be profitable if it's an A380.
It would be really interesting to see how much BA fill their 380s, because obviously British Airways have got Airbus 380s in their fleet, and it would be interesting to see just how much how much they fill their 380s on their flights to and from the States.
And it's all to do with not just the load factor, but the timing of those flights as well, how convenient it is for people. So there's a lot of factors in getting the load factors right with these aircraft. And it would certainly be interesting to see what the real numbers are. And I'm sure a lot of the airlines wouldn't reveal that. But no, it would be interesting to see certainly how BA have got on with it.
Yeah. Jen Niffer in the chat room was also saying that apparently they're really quite difficult to manufacture, and that's part of the so it makes them a lot more expensive. But I hope they're not going to suddenly start. So I mean, mind you, if Emirates, as you say, is one of their biggest customers.
Oh yeah,
I mean, if they're still buying them, then surely they must still be viable. Therefore, they'll carry on making them.
I tell you, I can remember a few years back being delayed on the steps coming away from a 777 we landed in Dubai when we flew back from Oman. And I remember walking down the steps because we couldn't go to one of the usual air bridges at the terminal, and we had to be deplaned via the steps and go on the buses.
Really?
And I still remember looking across at the terminal building at Dubai and just seeing A380 after A380 after A380 after A380. So many 380s there, and it's amazing to see those aircraft lined up like that. And obviously they're also I think they're the biggest operator, I think, of the 777 as well now.
Right. Yeah, I think the other thing is, of course, where Emirates are based in the United Arab Emirates and Dubai. Of course, from a geographical position, it's perfect, isn't it? It's sort of halfway around the world for most situations. So those flights to the US or to Western Europe, or going eastbound to the Asia Pacific areas in Australia, it's a perfect hub airport. So I think that they would do very well with that aircraft. No question about it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you one airline who hasn't took the 380 on yet, and I thought they would have done, Nev, and that's Virgin.
Yes, I mean, I think that they cancelled some orders, and I think they were going for the sort of the twin engine operations where they could. So that's obviously the 787 in the case of Virgin, and the A330s and the A340s that they've already got. I know the A340s are four-engine aircraft, but
those old planes.
It's just a question really of as well the financial climate as well. It's not just about the operating costs of the aircraft. It's where these things happen, and of course, the A380 took a long time to come to market, and as I say, just as it hit the market was exactly the same time as the big worldwide financial downturn. So really interesting sometimes how these the perfect storm sort of comes together, doesn't it?
Tony S has put in the chat room as well. The A380 are being taken on by none of the American airlines as well.
Yes, is that because it's Airbus though?
No, I don't think so. There isn't any American carriers, though, is there, with the 380s?
Not as far as I'm aware.
There isn't. No, there isn't. That's quite surprising considering the amount of passengers that go through the States or the US and that.
But I mean, I'm going to get told off by loads of people in the chat room, I'm sure. But I just sort of get this feeling that they tend to go for Boeing because they prefer American made rather than European made.
Yeah,
maybe.
but saying that, Matt, there are a heck of a lot of Airbus aircraft in the States being used by a lot of US airlines use the Airbus 320s or 321s.
Right.
They're a very, very popular aircraft over there in the US.
It's just the novelty. Ask me a question about a bus.
Okay.
I'll be fine.
So moving on to the next story.
Yes, okay.
For you, Matt.
Yeah,
this is on the ABC News.
Speaking of the Americans, this is the abcnews.go.com, and the headline is Slovenian airline bans use of Galaxy. Another one.
Oh, another one.
Bans use of the Galaxy Note 7s on its flights. Now, this is a continuing issue, really, isn't it, to be fair? And Slovenia, in fact, I think I read somewhere Delta have now cancelled, banned them as well. Yeah. So Slovenian Airlines, Adria Airways, has banned the use of Samsung's latest mobile phone on its flights due to safety concerns. The carrier said Thursday that the Galaxy Note 7 devices need to be turned off during the entire flight, cannot be charged on board, and should not be put into checked luggage. The airline said this is in line with recommendations issued by the European Aviation Safety Agency in the aftermath of reports of these phones basically bursting into flames. It's as I say, it's yet another carrier that is banning these phones on flight. I mean, not good news if you're Samsung, really, is it?
No.
I'm a bit confused because I was under the impression that they'd all been recalled, so people shouldn't have these phones anymore.
Do you remember last week when we covered this story, Matt? Because we had Pip with us last week. And after we'd closed the show up last week, Pip had an email from SafeJet.
Oh, right.
Didn't he? He actually let us know after we finished the show literally, when we stopped the show last week, Pip got an email from SafeJet about the Samsung, the Note S7s or whatever.
The Note 7,
the Note 7 that
they were also banned on flight.
Well, they're not banned from being took on board, but you're not allowed to have them switched on or charging on the aircraft, and it's.
They're okay. To be fair, they're okay when they're on. The issue is actually charging, because I think the Note 7 had a fast charger, and basically the batteries aren't coping with the fast charge function. So, from what research I've made of it, but
it's a bit worrying.
I'm very, very surprised that this didn't show up in testing. That's the issue. But there we are. It's not good news for Samsung, and obviously as well. And this probably won't be the last time that we see yet another airline cancel it until the problem has been solved, I suppose.
Oh. So moving on to the next story, and is this me? Is this me? Or just
I have no idea which one.
Who are we with now?
I think it's Nev now.
Is it Nev now?
Yeah.
Nev,
is it? Oh, sorry, I'm not quite ready for that, but I'm sure we can sort that. It's just from the Mail Online, this website, this one, and it's the best airlines in the US revealed. Alaska Airlines is ranked number 1 for the second year running.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt, Nev. Actually, Micah has just pointed out that apparently they used multiple batteries manufacturers, and it was only one specific manufacturer where they've had the fault with the battery, which is so they've only recalled ones with certain batteries. Anyway,
interesting.
Sorry,
Yes. No, that's a very good point, actually, Micah. Yep.
Well done, Micah.
Hadn't twigged that. Well, Alaska Airlines has flown into the top spot again, ranking as the best airline in the US for a second year running. A study rated all carriers' overall performance based on 5 areas: cancelled flights, customer satisfaction, denied boarding, mishandled baggage, and on-time arrivals. Swiftly following Alaska Airlines' tail was Delta, trailed by JetBlue, Southwest, Virgin America, Frontier, United, American, and Spirit. All of the airlines were acknowledged for their performance in each individual category in the research carried out by airfarewatchdog.com. When it came to the on-time arrivals, Alaska Airlines scored first place again, and Delta reigned for having the fewest cancelled flights, whilst Virgin America claimed the award for having the fewest mishandled bags. For the majority of the categories, Alaska Airlines fared well, staying at number 4 or higher, but fell to number 7 for its number of denied boardings. So coming in at first place for that category was JetBlue, and it also tied first place with Southwest for its high customer satisfaction scoring. Airfare Watchdog used data from the Department of Transportation to put together its annual airline assessment. And according to the website, Alaska has appeared in the top 4 since the list debuted 5 years ago. And at the other end of the scale, this year, United left the bottom of the list, switching places with Spirit. And there's a whole list of tables there about who's best. But Alaska has come out top in this list, certainly.
But I have to say that the fewest cancelled flights top 9, Acme has come in first place, which is good. Jeff will be happy about that.
Yeah, he will. He'll be very happy.
So Acme's in first place, with Spirit being in 9th place for fewest cancelled flights.
Going back to the battery thing, Mr. Warner says that apparently it might be his fault because he works for a battery manufacturer. Right. So we'll blame Jonathan.
The most important one, though, fewest mishandled bags, because Pip had the issue, I think, with lost bags. Or was it Pip? Or was it? No, it's Micah. Micah had the issue with bags, I think.
Well, no, Pip did as well, didn't he? He had a lost bag as well.
American was the worst, coming in at 9th place, with Virgin America being in first place with the fewest mishandled bags. Acme was in 3rd place. United was in 6th. And Southwest, funnily enough, Southwest is in 8th place for the fewest mishandled bags. That's quite surprising, because Southwest are supposed to be quite a good airline, I think.
So, what do they mean by amount of denied boarding? What does that even mean?
You're not getting on this plane.
Well, what happens, I think this is the, what I think the interpretation of is most airlines overbook their flights by about 10%, roughly speaking. And that's because they average it out over a year or maybe longer than that, where in fact people just don't turn up for their flights. And it's not normally people, holidaymaker types, because they've saved up all year for it, but probably business people tend not to turn up, or they've got to their travel department or forgotten to cancel it for them. And so they end up with lots of spare seats, and it normally works out, but just occasionally, and more often than not as well sometimes, they just cannot get enough people onto the aircraft. The aircraft ends up being overbooked, and they have to start offering compensation or putting people on different flights and things like that.
Yeah.
Jen Niffers put in the chat room, she said, I love how we all use Acme instead of the actual airline name. I know, it's just natural now.
We're not allowed to, that's why.
Oh, yeah, well, I know. Well,
anyway,
moving on to the next story.
Okay.
This one is on the skift.com website.
You do really
find some weird
websites.
On the Skift website, and it's regarding an airline we were just talking about. It's Southwest Airlines. For those of you in the US who use Southwest Airlines, adding standby perks for elite frequent flyers. So Southwest Airlines has generally flown against the grain among US carriers as it bucks the trend of legacy pricing models, marketing strategy and customer service. But with a move it made this week, it's getting squarely in line with its competitors on how it treats its elite frequent flyers. On Monday evening, the Dallas, Texas-based airline announced it would be giving elite members of its Rapid Rewards loyalty program access to completely free same-day standby, a perk that until now included a change in fare pricing. Regular Rapid Rewards members and the casual public still need to pay for any difference in fare if they choose to fly standby. There are constraints, of course. Free standby is only available to A-list and A-list preferred members of the Rapid Rewards program, for which one needs to collect at least 35,000 points, or 25 segments in a calendar year to qualify. The standby flight also must be within 2 hours of the original flight. All told, however, the perk is a significant upgrade to the Rapid Rewards program, and one that better aligns it with better with its competitors. The ability to change flights on the day of travel is fairly common perk among the highest tiers in legacy frequent flyer programs. Both Delta and United have offered elite the ability to change tickets up to 24 hours prior to departure time at no charge for several years, while American Airlines adopted a similar policy within the last year. Along with free upgrades, waived cancellation fees on all award tickets and free luggage perks like free same-day standby are perceived as a strong value to business travellers who often need more flexibility in their schedules. Southwest, however, traditionally hasn't billed itself as a carrier of business-class passengers. None of its aircraft have business-class cabins, nor does the airline operate a dedicated lounge. The airline's sudden move to cater better for frequency for travellers must be an indication of its willingness to expand further into the business travel market. In the last 2 years, the three big carriers of American, Delta and United have all realigned their pricing strategies to sell more tickets to business class customers, a highly lucrative and dependable market, and if Southwest can better compete in that space, it will start earning its share. This is something we're seeing something similar in this country, Matt, with EasyJet offering a kind of a business. I think Ryanair offer a business plus thing, and EasyJet I think offer a kind of business style seat or something. I think they do. I know. Ryanair offer is it a business plus?
Yeah, something like that.
Nevil probably know.
All it means is you can sort of basically book your seat and priority boarding and all that kind of
all
thing.
In one ticket cost. Yeah. When you fly, obviously for business, Nev, you obviously fly quite frequently with airlines and that. Do you kind of just book a normal economy ticket, or do you book a business style fare?
Well, yeah, it depends on the length of the sector. Obviously, for European stuff, I tend just to fly economy because the business class flights are pretty expensive. What you can do is if you book it economy within about 3 or 4 days of the flight, you get a special offer come through asking you if you'd like to upgrade to business class, and sometimes it's just like a £50 or £60 fee for doing it. So that does happen sometimes, but it depends on how full the flight's going to be and how many people have got the right status for it and this kind of stuff. So but yeah, I mean booking, I mean we've we'll talk about later on, but I'm flying tomorrow, which I managed to get a nice couple of business class flights for, but that's pretty unusual to get them for cheap prices. But they're normally quite dear.
I mean, you're booking flights all the time, though. I mean, you must be getting quite good at sort of knowing where to look, almost, to try and find sort of, perhaps the better priced
There is
flights.
Definitely a technique to it. And one of my friends, actually, who lives in Sweden, she is always going backwards and forwards on Ryanair between her local airport and Stansted, and she's got it down to a T. I mean, she knows exactly what the rules of the game are. I think that certainly with the low-cost carriers, if you know what the sort of rules of engagement are and you know how to play it to your advantage, then they are a fantastic offering. There's no question about that. But if you sort of rock up and expect to be treated in what I call the normal way, then you might be in for a bit of a shock. So it takes quite a while to operate, to be flying on these low-cost carriers to get the hang of it and to just work out what's optimal, really.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be booking a business class ticket anytime soon, I don't think. Although I shall make a point of looking when we fly with BA next month. I might just sort of have a glance if they'll let me and see what the particular business class cabin looks like on the Dash 9 Dreamliner. They might let me through. I'll flash the PTUK sort of card at
Don't
them.
do that. They'll lock you up immediately.
Do you think?
Yeah,
Okay.
without question. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially if you go anywhere near the Ryanair stand, that's it. You're in serious trouble.
So moving on to the next story. This one's for you, Matt.
It is indeed, yes. This is on the jet2.com website, and the headline is, "Our brand new aircraft touches down at Leeds Bradford Airport." There have been celebrations galore at Leeds Bradford Airport this afternoon after our brand new Boeing 737-800 aircraft touched down at the airport for the very, very first time. The aircraft, the first of 30 brand new 737-800s to be delivered to Jet2 and Jet2 Holidays over the next 2 years, landed at 3:30 p.m. after flying in from Gander International Airport in Canada. It will come into operation in the next few weeks, but only after we round off the aircraft with a few special finishing touches. The brand new aircraft will really help us make product improvements in line with our family-friendly ethos, which has recently seen us voted the UK's best airline and most loved airline by users of TripAdvisor and Skytrax, respectively. It uses years of research to provide more comfort for passengers and features the 737 Boeing Sky interior, which includes sculpted sidewalls and a window design that draws passengers' eyes to the windows, and a cabin design that offers more openness and extra legroom. The magic word, extra legroom.
Yeah.
Some of us were in Seattle earlier this week to watch the aircraft take off, and it was a very proud moment watching it land in Leeds Bradford Airport, the very place where our flights began back in 2003. Since then, we've expanded to become the fourth largest registered airline in the UK, flying over 6 million passengers last financial year and providing friendly, low fares to 65 exciting sun, city and ski destinations across Europe from 9 UK bases. This brand new aircraft and the 29 other Boeing 737-800s due for delivery will only help us grow even further.
They're expanding quite well, aren't they, Jet2? Doing well. Every now and again we cover a story from Jet2 of some good news story, because we used to have the drunkard stories, didn't we, with Jet2, with the drunken passengers.
Yes, slightly happier news for them.
Yes. But no, they've their fleet is growing in size. Actually, they've got still got the 737-300, still got 28 of those in service, and they've also Jet2 have still got 11 757-200s in service as well. But are they an airline that you've flown on before, Nev, or?
Not yet, no. But no, it sounds that they're doing very well, doesn't it? If they're expanding at the rate that they are, and so yeah, good for them. Sounds great.
So moving on to the next story, and this one is for me.
It is, yes. Why don't you take it?
I'll take this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on the aerospace,
I believe in our favourite song. It goes, "Having a nice time." Having a nice
grab
time.
a line. Grab a line. Exactly. Aerospace-technology.com's a site, and the headline: Airbus secures 9 A330. Aircraft order from Hong Kong Airlines. So Airbus has confirmed a deal with Hong Kong Airlines for a firm order of 9 wide-bodied A330-300 aircraft. Once delivered, the planes will be deployed at Hong Kong Airlines' Asian network and beyond, expanding its wide-bodied fleet. With the delivery of its first A350-900 plane by the end of 2018, Hong Kong Airlines' fleet size will stand at more than 50 aircraft. Hong Kong Airlines President Zhang Kui said, "Today's announcement underscores our plan to operate an extensive regional network in Asia. The A330's flexibility also allows us to further deploy these aircraft to some long-haul routes in the future, and we are going to operate the all-new A350 XWB in 2017, which will open a new chapter of our international operations." Founded in 2016, the airline currently operates an all-Airbus fleet of 33 aircraft, which include 11 A320s and 22 A330s, as well as 5 A330-200 freighter aircraft. The airline currently covers 30 major cities across the Asia-Pacific region, including Gold Coast, Beijing, Shanghai, Taipei, Tokyo, Sapporo, Bangkok, Bali and Okinawa. Airbus Customer Chief Operating Officer John Lehigh said, with the A330, the carrier will be operating the most cost-efficient and versatile wide-body aircraft, both now and in the future. Airbus has so far received more than 1,600 orders for the A330 family of aircraft, which features passenger, freighter, VIP and military transport tanker variants. Around 120 operators are now flying more than 1,250 A330 aircraft family worldwide. And if we scroll, there's a little picture there on, if Matt can pop that little picture up on there, of the Hong Kong Airlines livery there. There's a little photo there of the A330. That is one heck of a striking livery, gotta say, with that red, with the yellow emblazoned on the tail there. That's you definitely won't miss that red, because that is quite a bright red, that is.
It is, isn't it? Very bright.
Quite a bright red. Not an airline that I've heard a lot about, Nev, Hong Kong Airlines.
No, me neither. No, never flown them.
2006 they founded, so a relatively young airline. By today's standards, for sure. So moving on to the next story. This one is for you, Nev.
Yeah, this is on the Flight Global website, and American Airlines has taken delivery of its first Boeing 787-9, its latest generation wide-bodied aircraft. And the airframer delivered the aircraft to the Fort Worth-based carrier from its final assembly line in Charleston, South Carolina, on the 13th of September, FlightAware.com shows. The Flight Fleet Analyzer, that's difficult to say, shows it has registration
especially after
November,
a glass of wine, yes.
Well, quite, I was surprised I've done it as well as I have actually. Registration November 820 Alpha Lima and manufacturer serial number 40639. I thought you'd like to know that.
Indeed.
American will debut its new premium economy class on the 787-9. The cabin will have 21 seats in a 232 configuration. The aircraft is configured with 285 seats, including 30 business class, the 21 premium economy, and 27 extra legroom economy, and 207 economy seats. The 787-9 will enter service on the 4th of October, operating American Flight 50 from DFW to London Heathrow, a spokesman says. It'll operate domestically between DFW and Los Angeles from the 6th of October through to the 3rd of November, before being placed on flights between DFW with both Buenos Aires and Madrid from the 4th of November. And American has got firm orders for 21 more 787-9s, with 3 due this year. Fleet Analyzer shows. It currently operates 17 787-8s with 3 firm orders. That's a good news story, isn't it? So that'll be, I think that'll be a very popular route actually as well. DFW to Heathrow.
Yeah, Matt popped up the photos on that story actually while you're reading that, Nev, and it looks like a really spacious interior. I mean, that was business class to be fair, but looked
nice,
really
nice.
nice.
One day.
Yeah, one day. Do you know? I was just looking at American Airlines fleet, their current in-service fleet, including this -9 that was delivered. And American Airlines currently today runs a fleet of 924 aircraft.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely extraordinary. I remember when I was flying out of Dallas Fort Worth back to London Gatwick, must have been 15 years ago, and you going out in the queue to actually take off, and there aren't hundreds. It just seems like there are hundreds of aircraft all lined up. Absolutely incredible size airport. I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
Actually, Barbara's just put a note in the chat room. Well done, Barbara. Matt and Carlos, what about everyone choosing their best airline livery? That's a really good idea.
Ooh.
I like that one, Barbara.
Yes, okay.
I think that could be a good idea for a next listener poll, I think.
Indeed, yes. Well, the results of our last one actually coming up next week.
Next week, well, that's a good idea, Barbara. Well done. Well done. I'll buy you a
round of applause.
Round of applause for Barbara. Well done.
Yes. Yeah.
So moving on to the next story, and this one is...
Me, I think.
You,
is it?
Matt.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, you, yeah.
Or is it you? I
No,
don't
it's
know.
you.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Daily Record is the website, dailyrecord.co.uk, and the headline is Toronto-bound plane abandons journey mid-flight and returns to Glasgow Airport after technical issue. Oh dear, this is not going to show.
Hold on, let's have a look here.
This is great. We've got a slight issue with the website. Okay, good.
Hold on, let me just...
I don't know what's going on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is terribly embarrassing. For some reason, the story has not come up.
Yes, I've got the same problem here, actually.
Okay, oh right. Okay, so we might have to abandon that one.
Oh, actually, I have managed to... Oh, I was just about to say I've got it going, but then a pop-up came up and covered the whole thing.
Cover the whole thing, yes. Yeah, okay. All right, I think we're going to abandon
We're just going to refresh that and see if we can get that back. Here we go.
Okay, all right then. So, no, we're not. The pop-up keeps coming up. So
Hold on. Wait a minute, Matt. Hold on. We'll just click on this here and see if this will bring the story back.
Somebody sing a song, please. Yeah. What?
I'm just clicking on this to see if we can bring this...
Yeah, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologise. This is the joys of it being live. Abandon the story, Carlos. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. So
no, we'll abandon that story then.
Okay, so the final story is that, and this is the one that I was alluding to earlier in the story, in the show, sorry, and very sad news for me because this is actually a flight that I use very, very regularly. This is the Insider Media Limited. This
website. Story actually broke yesterday. This is quite a new story. Yeah.
And terrible news for me because, as many of you probably remember, I've got family that live in Ireland, and I quite often fly into Derry Airport with Ryanair, and the headline on this is Ryanair to axe Derry Airport to London service.
Oh dear.
Ryanair is to axe its London Derry / Derry to London Stansted route, a move described by the Northern Ireland Airport as extremely disappointing. The low-cost airline will cease operating the service to London Stansted from the 25th of March 2017. City of Derry Airport also confirmed that a summer route to Faro will also be cut. Clive Coleman, a senior director at the airport, said that during a series of discussions with Ryanair, the airline had shed light on why it was set to pull the services, including sterling devaluation following the Brexit vote and plans to reduce its UK operations apart from in strategic areas of competition. The airport management has been anticipating changes to Ryanair services, and we have planned for such an outcome, added Coleman. While the board of directors and management acknowledge the extremely disappointing news for the airport, I firmly believe the announcement presents a new opportunity to look at a number of positive options for development, Coleman said. A City of Derry Airport to London service is essential, and added that it is working alongside the Derry City and Strabane District Council and the Department for Transport in London to secure a public service obligation designation for a new service. This process is expected to be completed in early 2017, added Coleman. If successful, this will lead to a minimum of a double daily service from the airport to London from April 2017 onwards, and a continuity in the connection to London. The airport board and management has actively engaged with the Northern Ireland executive in recent months to discuss support for securing new carriers and new routes and to assist with securing the airport's future. And it is anticipated that a support package will be announced in the next few days. Now, the reason why this is very sad news for me is, as I say, I've got family that live in Ireland, and this is a flight that I use quite regularly. Admittedly, I haven't used it in the last 3 months, but my auntie has been over 3 or 4 times this year alone, and she uses this flight, and I can quite confidently say that those flights have always been full.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that, Matt. I mean, I just thought they could have filled that flight or get some serious numbers on there without any problem at all.
I mean, I can still get... I mean, the issue is, and I wonder if it's, a good old Brexit again being used as an excuse for doing this thing. Because, I mean, Ryanair have made no jokes and made no bones about the fact that their focus is on Europe, and as Britain is pulling out of the European Union, therefore, that is the reason why, they're going to focus their attentions. And whether it's because Derry is in Northern Ireland, and they'll still be flying to. I can't remember whether it's Belfast or Dublin. I think it's Dublin that they fly to, isn't it? And that's not the end of the world. It's just that for like Northern Ireland, Derry is only an hour to places like Omagh and things like that. So. But these flights are always full, so there are obviously external circumstances involved with this. And actually, myself and Carlos were chatting beforehand, and he hinted perhaps maybe they've done a bit of a Norwich. Maybe they've put their landing fees up.
Yeah, because that does turn a lot of airlines away.
And that can turn a lot of airlines away. I mean, again, we couldn't find anything sort of to back that up. But I'm surprised that Brexit is being used and the devaluation of the pound being used as a reason to pull this particular flight.
Seems odd, doesn't it? Yeah,
it
definitely.
does. Yeah. So I honestly think, having used that flight regularly and it being such a busy flight, I think there are other forces.
It'd be interesting to see whether there are other airlines that do that route, Matt, from the UK.
Well, there
into Derry. I mean, Aer Lingus.
No. It's a Norwich-sized airport.
Okay.
So Derry is a very small airport, and I mean, I did manage to get a flight to Liverpool. And that was Ryanair, I think, as well. I managed to get a flight back. So they do a couple of things, but perhaps they're going to pull it from there as well. Then I don't know.
Yeah,
perhaps we'll find out. But they may have pulled those before. But I mean, Ryanair is, as far as I'm aware, one of the biggest commercial users of that airport. So this is quite bad news for Derry, City of Derry. So I hope they can find someone else to fill the bridge. My worry, perhaps, is it won't be a low-cost airline, in which case I will end up having to go to Belfast or Derry.
Barbara's started a huge thing in the chat room now with her ideas about the livery thing. So well done, Barbara.
This is good. This is good. What we like. Yes.
So that brings our commercial news segment to a close for now. We've got what are we going to do next, Matt?
We're going to do next is we've got a little video that we're going to play for you. This is the next set. This is set number 2 from our interviews.
Have I got time to go and get another beer?
You have, yes. It's all right because it's about 10 minutes long. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a lovely interview with a chap.
This is really good.
It is a really good one.
This guy was awesome.
He was indeed, yes. His name's Justin, and he was flying the Bird Dog on the day of the show.
I've been out and about again and managed to grab another pilot to have a chat with while the show is playing on the background there. And Justin, you are a pilot and you fly one of my favourite aircraft here at Seething, the Bird Dog. Tell us a bit about the Bird Dog.
Okay, so the Bird Dog was developed just at the end of the Korean War, when Cessna went head-to-head with Piper for the contract to produce a forward air control platform aircraft for the Korean War. It then entered full service during the Vietnam War and was used extensively right the way through the war as a forward air control platform and observer, and also working with the battleships to move targets onto their designated enemy.
Fantastic. Now, I've seen you do the display this year and obviously previous years, and I have to admit, when I see you doing your fly pass of the flight line here, it almost seems like you're virtually, knots away from stalling. It just looks so slow.
I can tell you it feels like that sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. The Bird Dog, incredibly, despite its 38-foot wingspan, it's got a 215 horsepower 6-cylinder Continental engine with a 92-inch prop. Wow. So when we drop the flap in, and usually this aircraft has 60-degree of flap, so the idea was over the Vietnam conflict they could drop some flap in and slow down the aircraft to around 55, 60 miles an hour, allowing it to observe the enemy and record the damage.
Wow, what is the stall speed of the aircraft?
It's probably about 55, 60, so I'm flying it right on the edge of its envelope there. But today we've got a 15 to 20 knot headwind, so you've got to take that into consideration.
Yeah. So how long have you been flying the Bird Dog then, Justin?
Okay, so the Bird Dog I've been flying now for around 14 years. My father brought the aircraft into the country in October 1998. It was the first Bird Dog on the British register. Golf Papa Delta Oscar Golf is the registration, and we're lucky to have the call sign Papa Dog, which is quite unique in the UK. So I use that on a regular basis when just doing local flights.
Oh, that's fantastic. You've also got it on your. I see you've got it on your overalls here, the actual Papa Dog with the logo and everything. That's fantastic.
You can blame my wife for that. That was another birthday present.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Cheap to play. It's cheap to buy for then. Yeah.
So, have you been doing many of the airshow circuits, air shows this year in the UK?
This year has been a little bit quieter for me, but over the last 7 or 8 years, I've displayed various aircraft, including a Piper Cub as well, an L-21B Piper Cub from 1954. I slowly progressed onto the Bird Dog, and over the last 2 years I've increased my display authorization from a single ship to 2 ship, 3 ship, and now I'm flying as a 4 ship as well. So.
Wow. We've got a question for you in the chat room, Justin, from Tony S, asking, did the Navy operate the Bird Dog?
The US Navy did operate the Bird Dog. Interestingly enough, this particular aircraft was built in October 1957. It was built in the Pawnee factory in Wichita, Kansas. It was then exported to Reims Aviation in France, where the French Army Air Corps put their stamp on it. And quite a few of the Bird Dogs ended up in operational service and combat service in the Algiers War.
Oh, wow. Are there many of these aircraft still flying now, Justin?
In the UK, there's only 3 operational Bird Dogs flying. The French have a number which are used as glider tugs. Malta has a few, Italy, and of course the Americans have a number over there. They've still got ex-combat Vietnam pilots operating these in their late 70s. And they're a host of information. They're great guys to talk to.
Oh, wow. Sjoerd Bakker, who's in the Netherlands, he's asking, does it fly like a 152 or 172?
Do you know, that's an interesting question. The 152 has a smaller wingspan, of course, and it also has a slightly smaller engine. The actual Bird Dog was developed. The wings are actually similar to a Cessna 170. But what the Americans did, of course, is instead of making it a side-by-side seat, they made it an actual tandem seat configuration. They made it the original aircraft with tandem seats. So they made this one behind the other, and obviously they were using those for spotting enemy targets. And of course, they also used them for firing M16s out the back window, which you know the Americans love that sort of stuff.
Wow! Yeah, absolutely. So just a question, really, obviously, because it's been a funny year for aviation pilots and display pilots, especially. I mean, how have you found? Sort of obviously the changes. I mean, have you had to make many alterations to sort of adjust? How it must have had an effect, for example, on your routines that you can now do and things like that.
It's been an interesting year. Some major changes in the UK civil aviation when it comes to the displays. Primarily, some of the things that have affected us are the distance from the crowd line.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough to have a limbo flying ticket, which allows me to fly down to 3 feet under a limbo pole, which I've often done with the Piper Cub. So similar to the flying circuses. But what it's done, and primarily, if you notice today, it's pushed the display line back from 50 meters, and that was anything below 100 knots, right the way back to 250 meters. Right, sure. So all of the spectators will be sort of probably peering a little bit further away than we have done in the past.
I must say, it hasn't jumped at me that the flight line has moved a long way back. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. As a somebody watching the air show, I don't feel certainly that has sort of impacted, if you like. It's not spoilt the enjoyment, if you like, of watching you guys at work.
No, I don't think it's a spoilt enjoyment. I mean, it depends on what acts out there. If you look at some of the flying circuses, they like to get into around 50 to 80 meters, so the crowd can see balloon bursting.
Yes, of course, yeah.
But for our display today, 200 meters is adequate. We pushed to 250 and up to 150 feet above the flight line.
Another question in the chat room, all the way from the Netherlands again from Sjoerd. He's asking, was this the first trainer for aspiring pilots?
Actually, this was an aircraft that came slightly later for aspiring pilots. I mean, if you look back at the Cub, the commentator was talking earlier about the number of Cubs that were produced, and I suppose for aspiring pilots, that's where a lot of the guys started, and especially before they went on to crop dusting in the States.
Yes, yeah. Henry was telling us about that a minute ago as well. Somebody we were interviewing earlier. Yeah, same sort of thing. A lot of people have come from crop dusting and things, and that's where they've sort of practiced, if you like.
Yeah. My aircraft engineer, he's got somewhere around 6,000 hours, and I think he's done 4,500 hours on Cubs. So he's quite experienced, and he was a crop duster as well.
Yeah. Another couple of questions. These are quite interesting ones. Can it do spins and can it do aerobatics?
Okay. The aircraft's not cleared for aerobatics, and I wouldn't claim to doing any with it. But in terms of spins, again, when the aircraft came into the UK, under the guidelines, the aircraft was not cleared for spinning, and it's something that I don't particularly enjoy doing, especially after my lunch.
No, indeed.
I bet. Tony S. in the chat room is asking, is the rear seat backwards?
Interesting question, actually. The rear seat does engage backwards. So where you actually lean against, you can re-engage it. And the idea of this was that you can fold both rear windows up. Yeah. And in some cases during the Vietnam War, they mounted M60s in the back, but primarily they shot with M16s out of the rear windows.
Wow. So, Justin, tell us a bit then about your history, your aviation background. Where did things all start for you?
Okay, well, my flying career probably started with my father. My father flew with the Barnstormers Flying Circus, the original circus in the UK. So the Barnstormers was formed in the early 60s with the Rothmans display team, which was the Pit Specials, the four-ship. The guys went on to use various aircraft, primarily out of Sywell. They were operating the Tiger Moth. So I got dragged along to various shows, not kicking and screaming. Not quite kicking and screaming, but getting the opportunity to sit in a lot of aircraft. So at the age of 17, I got my license over at Barton Airfield near Manchester in Grob 115s, which was quite interesting. Finished off my license at Wickenby Aerodrome in Lincolnshire, and then moved straight on to Piper Cubs after that.
Oh, wow. Well, I tell you, I need to progress on from the 150.
I think you need to pass your pilot's license
my PPL first
before you get too carried away. Now, we always ask this question to all of our pilots.
Put you on the spot now.
Put you on the spot, right? If you could fly any aircraft, so if money wasn't an object, history wasn't an object, and you could pick any aircraft that has ever existed or flown in the world, which aircraft would you most love a go at? It could be anything, commercial, military, anything.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to answer with two of those.
Oh,
I'm going to give you two.
Yeah.
For sheer pulling your eyeballs out and having enjoyment, I think the Christian Eagle is a fantastic aircraft.
That's not one
it competes with the Pit Special, the British, the version, but it's the US version, the Christian Eagle. And if you look at the size of the prop in relation to the wingspan, you know it's going to to pull your eyeballs out.
Okay,
so that's the first one. But I've got to go with everybody else in the UK and follow the Spitfire. It is the iconic, and it's the one that everybody wants to get their hands on.
You didn't go and run over and jump in today. Just one last question from the chat room before we wrap up. From Stuart again, how difficult is it to keep the aircraft in flying condition?
It's interesting. It's not an overly costly aeroplane in terms of maintenance. The problem with the Bird Dog over here is there's so few. So obtaining parts, everything has to come from the States. Right. And of course, since we decided to go Brexit, we've got another 15% charge on top of all of our imports. I just wanted to get that in.
Okay, good, right.
That's fine.
Yeah, got to love a bit of political stuff. Yeah.
But in terms of getting hold of information, the International Bird Dog Association, so the IBDA, is a host of information. The guys over there have all flown during the Vietnam War. In terms of just sending them a message and asking for support, they come back within 5 hours, they give you something, and there's some good websites over in the States for us to obtain parts, really. So
it's just more waiting for it to get here.
It's waiting for it to get here. If you want to get it on a 3-day, you're going to pay for it. Otherwise,
absolutely. It's coming on another plane, essentially. Absolutely.
Well,
Justin, thanks ever so much for giving up your time today to chat to us on the show. I'm sure that the listeners have appreciated it across the globe, anyway. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the air show. We've got an hour. I think we've got an hour left of the air show until we finish today. But thanks for joining us on the show, Justin.
Well, all the best to you guys, and I wish you all the best with the podcast.
You're very kind.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Find this and other great shows at the Aviation Media Network.
thevoicesinyourhead.com. The Plain Talking UK podcast is a voluntary project that aims to keep you informed with the latest aviation-related stories from newswires across the globe.
Producing our content does cost money though. If you enjoy our show, why not help us keep on the air by making a donation towards the server and website hosting fees through PayPal. Any contributions would be greatly appreciated.
Are you an Amazon user? If so, why not do your shopping through the link on our website? There's no cost to yourself, and Amazon pay us a small referral fee on qualifying purchases.
To find out more about the show and to meet the team, take yourself to our website www.plaintalkinguk.com,
or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/plaintalkinguk, on Twitter via @plaintalkinguk, or get in touch via email on podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. Thanks for listening.
He was such a nice chap to talk to, wasn't he?
Wasn't he? Justin, he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he was so good, so well polite mannered, well mannered, and
what
very
on earth
good.
he was doing to
Nice
us,
chap
talking
to
to us,
interview.
I don't know.
I know. So I hope you all enjoyed that interview. With thanks to the comments in the chat room there from you guys. Yeah, we had such a good day at Seething.
We did.
And,
We really did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really nice. It was a bit windy, but it was good. It was a good day. It was a good day.
It was.
So we have got a few military stories to bring you this week. And are you still there, Mr.
Yep.
Bounds?
Still here. Yes, all good.
So we've got a few military news stories to bring to you. So if everyone is ready,
Yes, I certainly am. Yes.
let's go.
Well, I'll try that again, shall I?
Okay.
Let's go.
Do you get?
Yes, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I got a few gremlins in the system this week, but yes,
The
we got
tower's going on a visit after the show
It's having a
today.
little holiday after the show. It's coming to my house to stay.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
So kicking off then with our first military news story on Flight Global site. This one, and this one is USAF confirms F-15D delivery to Israel.
Ooh.
Following the signing of a largest military aid package in the US history, the US Air Force confirmed the transfer of 10 Boeing F-15D fighters to Israel. During the Obama administration, Israel received new capabilities from the US, including 10 F-15 fighters, several Lockheed Martin C-130 cargo aircraft, AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, and Joint Direct Attack munitions, according to a White House fact sheet published this week. The 10 F-15Ds are excess defence articles rather than foreign military sales, and the USAF has delivered 8 to Israel so far, defence sources told Flight Global. The two-seater variants of the F-15 is a trainer aircraft but can also be used for air-to-air combat. US National Security Advisor Susan Rice...
Beg your pardon.
Sorry. That's
Nice.
the beer talking. Referenced the F-15 delivery during the 14th of September address announcing the $38 billion military aid package to Israel at the State Department in Washington, D.C. The agreement, which takes effect on the 1st of October 2018, pledges $38 billion
Wow.
to Israel over the next decade, including $33 billion in foreign military financing funds and $5 billion for missile defense. The additional funding will allow Israel to update the lion's share of its fighter aircraft fleet, including the acquisition of additional F-35s and F-15s, she said. As Israel prepares for delivery of the first F-35 Adir to Netivim Air Base in December, the inclusion of F-15s in the deal could affect the mix of F-35s and F-15s in their fleet. While Israel defence officials requested more F-15 squadrons in 2015 as part of a compensation package, following the US's decision to lift sanctions against Iran, industry sources later told Flight Global that acquiring additional F-15s was unlikely.
Mr. Warner thinks actually that 8 of the Israeli F-15Ds were actually overnight stopping at Lakenheath on did you say Tuesday, I think. Yeah, on Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
There was some photos actually on one of the Facebook site, the forum sites for that online.
Cool.
Yeah. So next story, moving on. For you, Matt.
Yes, okay, and this is on Flight Global again, and the headline is "Deliveries of Spanish NH90s gather pace."
We've covered these
now.
before.
What is an NH90? Remind me.
The NH90
Okay, it's a helicopter. I know that much, but anyway, Airbus Helicopters is on track to deliver another pair of NH Industries NH90 TTH troop transports to Spain before the end of the year, adding to the 3 examples already handed over. The first operational unit to receive the 11-ton rotorcraft, the Spanish Army's FAMET Air Mobile Force, took delivery of 2 more TTHs on the 14th of September, adding to one that transferred to the brigade earlier in the month. The latter helicopter is based at the services someplace in Spain that I'm not even going to try and pronounce, base in the north of the country where it has been used for training activities. Designated the HT-29 Cayman in Spanish service, the NH90s had previously been delivered at a rate of 1 per year starting in 2014. To Madrid's DGAM procurement agency. Airbus Helicopters, the majority shareholder of the NHI consortium, assembles Spain's NH90s at its Albuquerque facility. It says 2 more will be handed over by year end, with one likely to arrive next month. Madrid will eventually field a fleet of 22 NH90 TTHs.
So the NH90, we've focused in on the military segment before on the show. It's a medium transport utility helicopter manufactured by NH Industries. First flew in December 1995, introduced into service in 2007. Used by the French Army, Italian Army, the Australian Defence Force and the Finnish Army. There's been 244 of these produced as of July last year, actually.
Micah was saying it's fly-by-wire and it's the Airbus equivalent of the US Black Hawks. So.
Yes, very true, Micah, very true. If you want to go and buy one of these, Micah, I'm sure Micah wants to go and get one of these for himself. He can grab one of these himself for a mere $42 million.
Splendid. I'll write the cheque now, shall I?
I'm sure Micah can afford that. You know?
I don't think anybody in their right mind can.
So we've left the last military story for our esteemed guest this evening, as it's on the Royal Air Force site.
Yes, it is. And this is about the fact that RAF fast jets will visit Japan in the autumn to train with Japanese forces. So one of the squadrons based at RAF Lossiemouth will fly Typhoon fighter jets to Misawa Air Base in northern Japan for joint exercises with the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. And this is the first time that the Japan Air Force has hosted an exercise with a foreign nation other than the United States. Exercising together delivers on an agreement made at the January 2016 Foreign and Defence Ministers Dialogue. And speaking of the forthcoming deployment, Wing Commander Roger Elliott, who's the commanding officer of the squadron, said, "This is the most ambitious deployment that the Typhoon Force has ever done. I think it's probably the most ambitious deployment that the Air Force has done to the Far East. So it's a huge honour to be taking part, and it's a huge honour to be the first RAF unit to go and operate with the Japanese Air Force on exercise." The mission of Royal Air Force Lossiemouth is to deliver a quick reaction alert and prepare for global operations. So by going to the Far East, there is no better way to prepare for a global operation. So we'll practice everybody in their roles supporting combat air. The exercise, named Guardian North 16, represents an opportunity for the two air forces to learn from each other and to develop their skills. And Typhoon crews will be supported throughout their journey by the RAF air transport fleet for air-to-air refueling, and transport aircraft carrying essential engineering equipment. So that's quite a big deal by the sounds of it, doesn't it? So quite a unique thing.
It's tell you what, it's a bit of multinational bonding there. So I think it's the first time I've ever known our guys to go over to Japan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This. I mean, last year at RIAT, if you remember, Matt, we interviewed the pilot from the Japanese maritime patrol aircraft.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast, Carlos. There's chances of me remembering stuff like that are very unlikely.
Yeah, you probably would have seen that one with you guys in the chat room and that from last year when we saw those guys at RIAT last year. And that was quite good having those because that's the first time they'd been over here with that aircraft as well.
Yeah.
We got some good pictures of that, so enjoyed that. So that is where we bring the military news segment to a close. We should have actually got Mr. Warner to do the military segment this week because he is Mr. All-knowing military man. So perhaps we'd better get Jonathan.
He needs
Mr.
to do
Warner
a segment.
On the show.
That's what he needs to do.
Either that, we'll get him on the show. We'll have
Definitely.
him on as a guest.
Let's have him on the show. Yeah, let's do
we'll
that.
get him on as a guest.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
goodbye as well to Dr. Steph. Dr. Steph is apparently off. And Mr. Warner has put in the chat room, as I knew he would do.
Yes.
It was the Kawasaki P1 maritime patrol aircraft.
Of course. No, I remember that. Yes, yeah. No, it was sort of like a bright, cyan blue, wasn't it?
It was. It was a lovely colour. Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Well, if you say that, of course I'll remember it. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm not fooling anyone, am I? Good. Right. Look, it's been an eventful show, ladies and gentlemen.
It has been an eventful show.
A bit shorter than normal, but that's because I'm terrified that we're going to fall off air. So it is, I'm afraid, time to wrap up episode number 130. What?
We've just got a little bit of housekeeping to do before we close.
Oh, have we?
Following on from before we started the show and also we're going to say thanks to Barbara for giving us the ideas for our next listener poll. But for those of you listening in the chat room and also to the audio podcast on
Mr.
iTunes,
Warner says he'll happily come on, so that's excellent.
Good.
There we are. Good.
Right.
That's next week sorted.
Email the show, Mr. Warner, with your Skype details and that, and we'll get back to you. As you'll know, we for a little while back now, we started the listener poll for your favourite airline. We had a few more emails into the studio while we've been doing the show from some of the guys in the chat room who hadn't already given their answers in. But for those of you listening to the audio show who are not in the chat room at the moment and want to contribute, we're going to do a kind of listener top 10 of your favourite airline.
Yes.
So if you could email us at the show and let us know your favourite airline, albeit I don't know, Ryanair, and the reason why, i.e. that they make the best paninis in the world, and email those across to podcast@planetalkinguk.com.
I can see Nev smiling over there.
Okay. Nev's already sent his answers in, and Nev likes, funnily enough, Nev likes BA.
Does he?
Does,
that's brand new and shiny information.
So don't forget, if you're gonna send us in, send them in ASAP. We're going to run the top 10 list next week on episode 131.
Indeed, yes.
So get your ideas in, and very, very kindly, Barbara has given us the idea, like I said, for our next listener poll, which we'll announce next week.
We'll announce next week. Yes, that sounds brilliant. So if you want to, as I say, if you want to do that, you want to send in the information to us, then it is podcast@planetalkinguk.com. That is podcast@planetalkinguk.com. The website is www.planetalkinguk.com. You'll find us on Facebook at facebook.com/planetalkinguk, and our Twitter handle is @planetalkinguk. Mr. Bounds, if you'd like to give yourself a little plug as we're in the process of doing those things.
Oh, yes. Well, my normal job, of course, as you may know, is working for Feltec, who are a broadcast and audiovisual company. And tomorrow
which is why he should be sitting in this seat.
Off to Gibraltar for 5 days, it is, just on holiday with Mrs. Nev. And the weather looks set fair as well, so that's nice.
Oh, lucky you. It's not supposed to be particularly fantastic here in the UK, is it? But there we are. You don't really care about that. You're leaving.
I'm guessing, Nev, you're going to be A320ing it to Gibraltar.
I think it will be, and that's with the BA boys. Assuming we get in, of course, because the winds around the rock of Gibraltar are extremely variable, and they only give it one or two goes, and if it doesn't work on the second go, we're off to Malaga, and then we're on the coach for 2 hours after that.
Oh, lovely! So that sounds nice.
We'll see how we do.
Indeed, fingers crossed for a smooth flight.
Well, wish you a very nice holiday, Nev. I hope you enjoy yourself in Gibraltar. Make sure you take plenty of aviation-related photos and sort of wing them our way. Them our way.
Perish, I thought you might just go and have a holiday, Nev. Carlos giving me damn homework
again. Take some of my recording gear with me in case I need to,
dial in
some stuff. Yes,
indeed. Yes. Anyway, that's it. It's where it is time, sadly, to bring episode number 100.
What are we going to do? A Saturday or a Friday next week?
I don't know. I'm working on Sunday. I'm not working Friday or Saturday, so it's up to you.
It's up to you. We'll leave it up. Those who are in the chat room, would you rather us have another Friday one or a Saturday one next week?
So it's Friday night or Saturday morning, basically. Those are your options. But while you're doing that in the chat room, it is time to sign out. Thank you very much for sticking with us. I know we've had a few technical problems in our recording today, and for those of you who are watching live, we thank you for your patience.
Yes, thank you for your patience.
Indeed.
Thanks to everyone in the chat. We've had a lovely full chat room. Full chat room.
Absolutely.
Mike is like, he's in there. Look, bless him, Mike. Well done. And to everyone in the chat room,
everybody's saying Friday. I think it's Friday.
I think
a quick straw poll suggests that maybe Friday should be the way forward. So yes.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be Friday.
So next Friday then, around about 7 o'clock, providing I don't break anything.
Oh blimey, yeah, Friday it is then. Blimey, that's the quickest listener poll.
It is, absolutely. I think Friday is. So anyway, that's it. It is time to end. I'm going to bring up my fancy, if you're watching on YouTube, bring up my fancy screen. There we are, look. So you can see us all. So there's me, Carlos, and
actually,
Nev.
I could, if I put my hand this way, I could poke Neville on
No. Mrs. Nev is in the next room. You can't do things like that. Stop it. Anyway.
Hold on, does this work? Hold on, Nev.
Well, it doesn't, because I'm obviously the feed I'm watching is...
He's a little bit delayed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's not seeing it live, is he? He just doesn't get it, does he? No. Bless him. It's a shame. Anyway, from all of us here in the various studios, it is. I'm afraid time to say goodbye from all of us here. Everyone, give them a wave. It is goodbye.
See ya. Bye. Bye.